start with the freshman team awards. So what we're going to do is Coach Ruben will say something about the team, call up guys for certificates. The actual MVP awards we'll all do at the very end for all three teams. So I guess we'll build up the suspense for the boys. Anyhow, right now we'll have Ruben Martinez up there.
Alright, freshmen. Thank you folks. I appreciate the opportunity that you gave and the coaches just for allowing me to volunteer this 4 or 5 weeks. I'm a lot of volunteering. I appreciate it. It was good fun, and most importantly, I need to thank my wife who's not here. We purchased her new business and a new baby. She was a little bit taxed, so I thank her for her time. And if any of you see her, please tell her that I said that in public so that maybe she'll be nice to me. Let's get the boys up here. Come on up and we'll shake your hand. Is Sully here? Cool. Come on up. Jose's not here. Ethan. Ryan. Christopher. Michael. Tyler. Kaden. Lucas. Noah. Andrew. Bronco. Dominic. Gavin. Brendan. Ian. That's it, right? I don't believe Andrew's here. Oh, and Alan. Thank you, parents, for all the time and energy you put into your boys. We appreciate it. I hope they had a good time. And again, thank you for the opportunity to volunteer. I appreciate Dave allowed me to come in and help out. Thank you, folks.
Go ahead and take some pictures if you want, or not. Anybody wants to take a picture? It's a good time. Thank you, Ruben. As Ruben mentioned, he definitely came in the latter part of the season and helped us out, so thank you. We can't thank you enough. I know the boys had a good time under your leadership, so once again, thank you. At this time, we'll bring Mr. Ozuna up. I believe it's his 8th year at this year. 8th year. He does a fantastic job. Teacher on campus, and he loves being out there for the 3 months, and he does a great job, so here you go, Kim.
All right. First of all, I want to thank all the parents and players for supporting me. We had a really fun season despite all the injuries that we had. You guys came together, so next person up, new position. Let's go. So let me invite them up. Ryan, come on up. Sean. Justin. Mason, come on up. Gavin. Kellen. Is Ian here? Ian's mom, Valerie, was the team mom. She also helped out, so I want to publicly acknowledge her for helping me. So thank you. Daniel. Nathan. Alex. Peter. Logan. Gil. Matthew. All right, the JV soccer team. Thank you, boys. Great season. All right, you guys are good?
All right, just a minute, I'm gonna have Tim come up and talk about the varsity team. Real quick, Aram is gonna stand up because Rhodey has made acknowledgement that you are now going to represent how we dress at the games. That's what he's all about. Definitely best dressed. All right, so we'll get on with the varsity guys.
All right, the first player is a first-year varsity player, one of our two sophomores. Came through pretty big throughout the season. I think it was a player that we had high hopes for, and he exceeded the hopes that we had, and had a great season, has a great future, whether it's high school or possibly college, and that's Micah Ashton. This next player is not here right now. He's probably either playing video games or studying. That's Arthur. You want to give that to Arthur? Next player is our other sophomore, who is a field player, converted goalie, who honestly, from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, looked like a goalie who had been playing for 6-7 years. And came up big when he needed to. School record in shutouts, Andy Lee. Next player is a senior but first year varsity player. I don't know if he talked at all during the season, to be honest with you. That's okay, because I'll use the language barrier thing, so it's okay. But when we went to practice, he always went full power. Next player, first year varsity player. He probably would have liked to have played more, but when he came in, did a big job for us when he needed to. I would say definitely also provide a lot of comic relief for our team, because he's a funny guy, Marcus Way. Next player is another first-year varsity player, is a junior. I'm not sure if he talked more or less than Justin, but it was a close tie, probably. A player with a lot of skill, a lot of promise, definitely likes to nutmegs, likes to get in behind players, a lot of sauce there, and that's Bradley Jahanna. All right, next player, senior captain. I just want to say he is on the all-academic team for achieving a 4.21 GPA. Pretty impressive. This is a third year. Close. 4.0. A player who, this is his third year in varsity, and I would say definitely his best season of the three. Anchored the back line, although not the most vocal player in terms of communicating, but body language always positive, always a voice of reason, and had a great senior year. That's Daryl Evans. Next player, second year varsity player, junior, also all academic team for achieving a 3.27 GPA. A player who I think as a sophomore, if the team wasn't as strong as they were last year, would have gotten a lot more time, but fit in this year as a starter pretty much every game the whole year. asked to play in the inside on the right, and the outside of the right, played a little bit of right back, somebody who technical, can get up and down the field, covers a lot of ground, somebody who could definitely play in college as well. Didn't have probably quite the numbers in terms of stats, but played a lot of minutes and played a lot of really important minutes, and that's Devin Abiati. Next is the first year varsity player, achieving a 3.5 GPA to all academic team. Somebody who I would say really came through in the end when we needed him to, in a position he's never played in his life. We went down, when we went to our trip to Fresno, we went down, Andy got hurt. We had no backup, which our backup was ineligible, and then our second backup was hurt, and we had to throw this player in goal with literally never seeing him play goal other than just random stuff we do in practice. And everyone pointed to him, and he came through in the end, and it was an amazing experience. So, T, come on up, man. Next player is a junior, first year varsity player. Achieving a 3.85 GPA, impressive. Again, a player, we have a handful of juniors, very talented players, guys that are really good, just on any other varsity team would have been starters. Unfortunately, he wasn't a starter, but put in minutes and produced when he was called upon. And hopefully we'll continue to produce and improve, and that's Nico Sergini. All right, another senior captain, achieved a 4.38 GPA. Don't let his GPA fool you. He got a red card. So. Yeah. No, but obviously somebody who's a standout academically on the field and off the field, a huge leader, had an amazing season, produced a ton of great moments, big time goals, big time assists. Somebody that I would love to say will play in college and could, but he probably just wants to go to Yale and study. But, it's been a pleasure coaching him for the last 3 years, and part of the senior group that played as sophomores are ending with the best way possible. You can't beat it, so congratulations, Rayhan. All right, another senior. Third year varsity player, achieved 4.15 GPA, pretty impressive. Also a guy who led the team in goals this year, somebody who came through big time in the state playoff run, scored goals when we needed him to, always works hard in practice, does goof off here and now, but definitely brings a different brings an atmosphere that I think is fun, enjoys the game, and has a huge engine, and that definitely should be playing in college, and that's Josh Chambers. First year varsity player, probably could have played varsity last year, but he was playing a different sport. Achieved a 3.94 GPA, impressive. I think bummed to lose him at the end of the season when he was really playing well and being a menace on the right-hand side. Fortunately, he's got another year with us, and we have big expectations for you. That's Jackson. All right, senior, all academic team, 3.0 GPA. Still on it, doesn't matter. A player that, if we're handing out the most versatile award, clearly would get it. 2 shutouts in 2 games played, not being a goalie. Oh, 3, sorry, my bad. But, I mean, played every position on the field, you know, literally every position on the field. And I would say when Jackson went down, you know, playing a position I don't think is his natural position, but was flawless. You know, the playoff run, offensively, defensively, was incredibly strong, and there's a reason why we had 12 shutouts, and Griff is a big part of it, so. Next player is junior, first year varsity player, 3.98 GPA. Wow. Pretty impressive. I would say this is a guy who really made a difference when his name was called. Pretty much won the game for us at Hoover. Scored a huge goal against Westview at home to pretty much seal that game. And I think, again, an example of a player who has a lot of talent, has a lot of skill, has a lot of ability. Didn't probably play as much as he would have wanted to, but that's just because we had such a deep team. But came through when his name was called upon, and that's Ryan Cutler. Our next senior, second year player, 3.96 GPA. This player, again, super versatile. Pretty much could play anywhere along the back line, anywhere in the midfield. Was called upon at random times to play different positions and with very little warm-up and very little prep. But always worked hard in practice, always raised the level, was always positive, and a player that will continue to improve. And that's Taylor DeGuzman. This is a player, first year varsity, a complete, came out of nowhere, literally. We had no idea who this kid was a year ago, and changed a lot about our team and fit into our team flawlessly. A player who has a really high soccer IQ, somebody who's knows how to play the game, knows how to play quick, knows how to move, knows where to be at the right times, and scored one incredibly nice goal in the CIF final and finished it off with 2. Again, a player with a 4.19 GPA, and that is Prashant. Wow. Our junior player, second year, almost third, kind of, varsity player, 3.78 GPA. A player who can pretty much do it all. Can play any position that we need him to, but in the front of the back 4 is where he's needed most. And had a great season his sophomore year, and junior year, a year older Cooper was even better. and for sure a kid who absolutely will be playing in college and somebody that hopefully we can hold on to. But you know, when it comes to technique, when it comes to free kicks, when it comes to being, you know, when practice was maybe not as intense as it needed to be, this player was always there to step up and add quality, and that's Cooper. Next player, first year varsity, 3.31 GPA. I would say again, an example of a junior who on a team that isn't as deep as ours would have been a starter, no question. However, CAF final, had his chance to play. Mike was hurt, comes in. We had a lot of guys who performed in that game, but for my money, this player was perfect. We played a game that we couldn't have asked for a better game from a kid who really didn't play a whole lot, and came in and did the business, and that's Brandon Park. All right, next player is a third-year varsity player. For a kid who didn't play for almost a whole year, somehow he just got better. Like as the season went on, and if I'm naming a most consistent player from start to finish, it's this guy. 3.89 GPA, even though he doesn't talk, he's a smart kid. A player who probably played the most minutes out of anybody on the team. Got a little bit of an injury towards the end of the year. We basically told him he didn't have a chance. He didn't really have a choice. He had to play, and he did. He came through, and he was huge from start to finish. Evan Peck. Last one of our captains, 4.19 GPA. Impressive. It's a player who technically is extremely gifted. Maybe not the biggest guy, but makes up for it with grit, with hard work, with putting himself in the right position in terms of his body position and position on the ball. I think he would have liked to have scored more goals this year. I know that for sure. But came through when we talked about our playoff run. This was the guy that we said, I guarantee you this guy's going to step up and he's going to produce. And he did. That's Kevin Salcedo. Next guy, senior, third, maybe fourth year, I don't know. 3.18 GPA. For this, yeah, a lot of letters. Ceramics in the photo. For this guy, I mean, when you look up the word athlete in the dictionary, it's a picture of this kid because I've played at a pretty decent level for a long time. And I've played with some pretty good players and pretty quick players. But and I tell this to people all the time, this kid has the fastest 3 steps I've ever seen in soccer. And I'm not making that up. That's not to toot his horn. That's the truth. And when you have that kind of speed and that kind of explosiveness, it changes the way we play. It's going to be hard to replace him, obviously, but for a kid who has that kind of ability and that speed, it's just something you can't teach. And didn't, in terms of stats, didn't have as good as a year as he did last year, but the last 6 games, that whole playoff run was a complete menace to the other teams. They just, there's not, you can't do, the only thing you can do is foul and hope that he doesn't score. and it did work because we won. So there you go, Jaden Stokes. All right, senior, first year varsity player. Again, a guy who's pretty quiet, 4.11 GPA, pretty impressive. I think you know who that is. Again, a guy who came to practice all the time, worked hard, was always positive, always somebody that pushed the level. When we put him in to play forward, sure, plays forward, does makes things hard for their team. Just a perfect example of a team player. That's Ethan Tuck. Alright, last but not least, 3.30 GPA. You know, it's interesting when they're surprised when they get their GPA, but again, you're on it, all academic team. A player who progressed every game, got better every game, as the season went on, especially in the playoff run, we found the role that fit him the best, whether that was up top for Jaden or in the midfield. And I would say that the quarterfinal state game made the difference, really made the difference. And it's a player that's going to be tough to replace, but Alex is a great player and we're happy to have him this year.
Here's your varsity team if you guys want to get some pictures. We'll do the special awards in just a minute.
You guys getting too long?
All right, you guys can have a seat. Thank you.